According to Adobe Analytics, shoppers spent a record $9.8 billion online the day after Thanksgiving. But even amid the record sales, shoppers are putting off the bill a bit later. Buy now, pay later orders rose by a significant 72% compared to a week prior. And it's interesting to note, Seana, when you look into that data, the rise of BNPL, that was something that really stood out to me in terms of the Adobe. So you had $79 million of that nearly $10 billion spent on putting off the bill until later. So, the deals are causing people to say, you know what, I want it now, even if it means incurring more debt. And it's a huge increase when you compare it to last year, up 47% from a year ago.
Yeah, exactly, Diane. We know we've been talking about for so long the weakening overall economic picture, exactly consumers pulling back on their spending, being a bit more frugal in terms of what they are buying this holiday season. That has been reflected in the numbers here that we're getting from Adobe. I also want to bring up the move that we're seeing in Shopify this morning, because that's an outperformer ahead of Cyber Monday. The e-commerce demand here really helping the results that we've seen so far from Shopify. The company saying that merchants set a Black Friday record with a combined $4.1 billion in sales. The street very encouraged by this. Looking at some of the analyst commentary reaction here to these early numbers, Morgan Stanley's Keith Weiss saying that Black Friday sales suggest upside to investor expectations. He sees Q4 gross merchandise value, GMV, growth in the high teens on a year-over-year basis. We know Cyber Monday is going to help paint a more complete picture in terms of that consumer demand and exactly what people are spending on and what that appetite is to spend now, given the fact that maybe these retailers will continue further discounting some of those items as we get closer to the holiday. And like you said, Cyber Monday is expected to be the biggest online shopping day of the year. Record $12 billion is expected. That would be up just about 5.5% from the levels that we saw about a year ago. But let's talk a little bit more about those promotions, because discounts and sales, they're in focus as retailers try everything they can to get shoppers to spend. Here with a closer look is our very own Brooke DiPalma. And Brooke, I think all shoppers out there are asking themselves how this year's promotions stack up to what we saw last year. What are you seeing?
Yeah, well, consumers certainly, as I said on Wednesday before this cyber weekend, they need to know their prices, because what we're seeing is these big box and these apparel retailers really come out and say that we have the biggest deal yet. But actually, some of them are in line with last year, more than last year, and some discounts even less year over year. Some retailers I got a call out in notes so far. Jeffrey saying that Abercrombie Fitch is a clear winner here. Now, it's important to note here is that last year they had 30% off. This year, 25% off. But what we've seen in the recent earnings reports is that consumers continue to go to Abercrombie. They continue to shop there. And so despite that 5% discount that's less than last year, consumers are still expected to shop there. Another one that we are keeping a close eye on is recreation, the leisure category. We're thinking Yeti, Academy, Dick's Sporting Goods. Jeffrey's analyst saying that despite promos being flat year over year, these sort of retailers continue to do well in a more promotional environment. Another one to look out here is Gap. The analyst there said that they're in the early innings of what they said was a turnaround. Now, what's interesting, once again, is that year over year, the promotions are flat. And at Old Navy, those promotions even decrease, but that is one to watch. Urban Outfitters also increased their promotions, but their one brand, Anthropologie, was flat over a year. And one other thing that I've continued to see is that beauty remains a resilient category. Yeah. Piper Sandler shouting out e.l.f., Coty, and IPAR, Inter Perfumes, that is. We continue to see these splurging among consumers as they stock up on beauty. They continue to do those day-to-day purchases, those lotions, that mascara, those little daily use products continue to do well in this sort of environment, and they certainly did well this weekend.
Kind of like brings back memories of the lipstick indicator. I mean, people will still splurge on their beauty products even when their wallets are tightening. But interestingly enough, now when you think about both how we've talked about how much consumers have become reliant on their credit cards, despite tightening credit environment, but now using more the BNPL way of checking off their list. Another thing that stood out to me was I saw some data showing that the average discount this year was about 35%. And so you're seeing some variance to your point about where that discount is. So some places it's marginally lower than it was a year ago. Some places it's a little higher, but then you get to the average. But another interesting pattern that I saw this year, and we've talked about this for years on end, is this overtaking of the online footprint, clicks versus bricks, right? And even when we saw the images from Sazi being out at the mall on Friday, it was less foot traffic than we've seen in previous years, and you can see it by the numbers. Even when you think about what the expectation for the numbers today, we're expecting 12 billion for Cyber Monday. That would outstrip the record number for Black Friday.
Yeah, this is certainly not your 2013 Black Friday anymore, sadly, although that was fun while it lasted. Definitely something to watch out for, too, is the timeline between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. Christmas does fall on a Monday. A lot of analysts expect shoppers to wait till that last weekend to get the best bang for their buck, to get the best prices for their last minute Christmas shopping. And so really this period of what is 32 days does provide a longer timeline for shoppers to get their shopping done. And once again, they're waiting for the right price and the right quality item.